on Lily Mutam's TV. I am here in Zambia, and the moment I turned on my phone, I have read some devastating news. And I must say, I'm very heartbroken because I never expected myself to ever come on a live stream to announce the death of President John Magufuli. I'm absolutely heartbroken. I couldn't believe what I was reading. And I thought, let me just do a quick live stream before I go in the field. Sorry, my voice is hoarse. So let me just read something from BBC News. John Magufuli, Tanzania's president, dies aged 61 after COVID rumors. I had read somewhere on social media a few days ago that he had not been seen in the public eye, and there was rumors that he had COVID. And then I've also seen an image of 4 people that I think he was swearing them in. And all those 4 people, including himself, have all succumbed to COVID. And then there's also news that John Magufuli had problems, and that's why he has passed on. Okay, so Tanzania's President John Magufuli has died, age 61. The country's vice president has announced. He died on Wednesday from heart complications at a hospital in Dar es Salaam. Samia Suluhu Hassan said in an address on state television. Magufuli had not been seen in public for more than 2 weeks, and rumors have been circulating about his health. Opposition politicians said last week that he had contracted COVID-19, but this has not been confirmed. Magufuli was one of Africa's most prominent coronavirus skeptics, and called for prayers and herbal-infused steam therapy to counter the virus. So you see, that's what came to my mind immediately I saw that he has died, because I know for some of you who've come to my YouTube channel and you've seen me share videos of Magufuli, I've shared Magufuli saying, look, there is no COVID, the churches will remain open, business as usual. And then he encouraged the steaming therapy. There was no lockdown in Tanzania whatsoever. He had even offered to go and bring in medications or even any form of cure from countries that were offering the cure to COVID-19. And it's so unfortunate that, he has succumbed to COVID. COVID is real, guys. Make sure you always social distance, use your hand sanitizer. There's no confirmation of his death as to whether he truly died of COVID. But, he was just recently sworn in as president for the 2nd term. And he's one person, I think is it 3rd term or so. He's one person that, the Tanzanians grew to love. And at the age of 61, he's still a young person who has had energy and life. And to me, he was an exemplary leader that wanted to bring in change in Tanzania. He did a lot of positive things in Tanzania. So according to the announcement from the vice president, it is with deep regret that I inform you today we lost our brave leader, the President of the Republic of Tanzania, John Pombe Magufuli, Vice President Hassan said in the announcement. She said there would be 14 days of national mourning and flags would fly half-mast. So most of the flags in Tanzania will be half-mast. So obituary, Tanzania's bulldozer President John Magufuli. The country says COVID isn't a problem. I think those are other headlines. So according to the Tanzanian constitution, Ms. Hassan will be sworn in as a new president and should serve the remainder of Magufuli's 5-year term, which began last year. So Tanzania, on a positive side, will have a female president. who will obviously, I'm sure, will bring in the adherence of COVID. Um, Magufuli was last seen in the public on the 27th of February, but Prime Minister Kazim Majaliwa insisted last week that the president was healthy and working hard. He blamed the rumors of the president's ill health on hateful Tanzanians living abroad. Obviously, you know how it is in Africa. There is not much confidentiality. I'm sure some of the people in the hospitals who were told, keep it confidential, disclosed after being paid even by the opposition or something like that. But opposition leader Tundu Lissu told the BBC that his sources, it's like I had even read the article, his sources had told him Magufuli was being treated in hospital for coronavirus in Kenya. So it's sad that Magufuli was first elected as president in 2015. He was born in Chato, northwest Tanzania, in 1959. He studied chemistry and mathematics at the University of Dar es Salaam, worked as a chemistry and maths teacher, very ambitious man. First elected as an MP in 1995, became a cabinet minister in 2000, first elected president in 2015. So he had a history of more than 10 to 20 years in government before he aspired to be a president. And to me, that is a gallant soldier, a leader who has a trackable history. And that's what we always find in most African nations, where African leaders just want to go boom, straight, you want to be a president, or boom, straight, you want to be an MP. You've never even had some form of experience, even in formal education. And right now, like in Zambia, we're having an issue where we have loads of MPs and ministers who don't have the qualifications, the standard, which is the GCE certificate, grade 12, in order for them to be at least, where they're supposed to be. And that's why we have leaders, mediocrity in leadership. And John Magufuli's biography is actually amazing. He was a teacher for some time and then became an MP and then cabinet minister and then president. So he had that, experience. So Magufuli declared Tanzania COVID-19 free last June. He mocked the efficacy of masks, expressed doubts about testing and teaching in countries which impose health measures to curb the virus. Right now, COVID has really gone a little bit down, obviously, with the vaccines that are going on. I'm not advocating for you to get the vaccine, but with the vaccines that are going on and with the travel bans that have been around the world, at least we can say that it's slowly being leveled. But remember to always mask up and hand sanitize, and you only go out when it's necessary. It's important that you only take a step out of your comfort zone only when it's necessary. If it means you need to work from home, please work from home. So Felix Dali says in Africa, you can't work hard and try to fight corruption and live long, because you automatically become the enemy of tycoons who survive on corruption, stealing. Definitely. Because John Magufuli, I don't think he would have tolerated and accepted that anybody should try to corrupt his nation, Tanzania. And therefore, we will say the good die young. So he has obviously died at a young age. If you're corrupt, you succumb to the Chinese. If you remember, John Magufuli refused to pay back any loans to the Chinese. He said, I'm not paying you. And most African governments are under the cocoon of the Chinese, who fund them a lot with a lot of money in exchange of land and resources. And he said, you won't own land in my country, Tanzania. So they'll find by all means. I just don't find this as something that is really normal and genuine death. I don't know. I just couldn't believe it. I don't find it as something genuine or normal. And that's why I say that sometimes I'll say that, COVID has also been a silent weapon, something that can be used to eliminate people that come in the way of those superiors. Okay, so Matimba Mande said, too bad, my condolences to the continent of Africa. People of Tanzania and his family, it is a great loss, definitely. David Mpundu says, the problem why we don't stay home is because of hunger. Yes, I know it's because of hunger, but like I said, if you can manage to work from home, please try to do so. So on Monday, police said that they arrested 4 people on suspicion of spreading rumors on social media that the president was ill. Tanzania has not published details of coronavirus cases since May, and the government has refused to purchase vaccines. I don't know why the vaccination issue is there, that they're trying to impose everybody to purchase vaccines. Like in Zambia, for example, our president, he bid for, is it $18 million worth of vaccines? But here's the thing. Even though you are vaccinated with a coronavirus vaccine, according to what we have been told, is that you're not guaranteed you'll be protected. Now, I went to a hospital, a clinic in the UK, and I asked my nurse, I posted this on Facebook, but I'm not saying follow what I'm saying. And I asked her, I was like, look, do I really need to take the virus, vaccine? And she said, no, oh, no, you don't need it. I was like, why? She said, no, you're too young. What we want to do now is protect the elderly. Oh my God, these dogs are disturbing me. Is protect the elderly. After we protect the elderly, then everybody will be protected because they're the ones who are catching the virus. So I was surprised, but frontline workers, please get your vaccine if you want to. Okay, the people that were arrested, so some people were arrested in Tanzania for spreading rumors that there was COVID. There's COVID and the president was sick. Mr. Majiliwa said this time, okay. So, John Magufuli, a legacy state debate, cultivated image. Okay, so he's won funds, especially in the region of East Africa, according to what I'm reading on BBC, because he inspired What Would Magufuli Do? Hashtag. That was shared by supporters of his no-nonsense approach to fighting corruption. So because Magufuli was fighting corruption and he was a no-nonsense person, when it comes to corruption, like somebody commented, obviously too bad he has died young. Okay, so there will be a vigorous debate about his legacy and whether his successor should stay the course of change of direction. But this discussion cannot be divorced from the current trend on the continent where support for democracy remains strong, but most people are increasingly disillusioned by the failure to deliver the promised dividends. So while a significant number of Africans would prefer an action-driven leader like Magufuli, Magufuli was an action-driven leader. They equally want leaders who govern honestly and a government that respects them and does not hide information about their president's health. Hi, Ruben, how are you? Good to see you. Ruben says, I guess those that were arrested will still be charged. That's Africa for you. Jimmy Fisher says, I hope the acting president and the new president will follow the rules set by Magufuli. I don't think we have the whole story here. Sad news to our great leader, says Davis. It's absolutely sad. So according to the critics, the critics agree that Magufuli contributed to Tanzania's development and he invested in large infrastructure projects, yes he has, such as the standard gauge railway to connect the country with its neighbors, major highways, and a bus system in the commercial hub of Dar es Salaam. I hope to travel to Tanzania one of these days, especially after COVID dies down. He also increased electricity production, reducing the need for power rationing. In Zambia, we face what you call load shedding. But funny enough, these days we don't really have load shedding because the current leadership wants to be voted back in. It's an election year, 2021. On the 12th of August, we are facing the ballot papers. And For those of you who are not aware, I'm also an aspiring member of parliament of Monali constituency here in Zambia. And we want to see change in leadership. And there's a lot that goes on in leadership. Come on, dogs, don't bite me. And send them to what? They are playing with my feet, okay? So, but, he tried by all means to make sure that Tanzania was positively, come on, let me take this bit. They are some of you have never met them. Let me show you. Come. I wanted to show you my little dogs. Some of you have seen them on Facebook. Eileen, come and bring me the dogs. Come. Guys, they're troubling me. So, this is one. This one is called Rocky. It's a boy. So I bought them before I came to Zambia from a girl who sells dogs in order for her to survive. So I thought it was a way of empowering her. And then there's another one, a brown one. They were in the house and our helper left the door open and they're out. They always like to follow me. So yeah, rest in peace, Magufuli. He tried by all means to reduce the need of rationing, load shedding. But it is his approach to COVID-19 that many analysts say will define his legacy. There has been little testing in the country and no plans made for vaccination program, leaving the country as an outlier. But for obviously on that part, what I can say is that he should have tried by all means to, test people, and hopefully the current leadership will try. Tanzania is on the seaside, Dar es Salaam, and everybody goes to the border to order things. Like, for example, my car arrived at Tanzania border at Dar es Salaam. So I think it would be unwise not to test because of what's been happening. Come on. This one is biting me. Okay, so Magufuli was a man of God. Take the dogs. They are so naughty. I was hiding from them and then they decided to come and follow me. Bye. Okay, so in Tanzania, locals have reacted with grief and disbelief to the news of Magufuli's death. Of course, they would be in disbelief because it was never announced anywhere that President John Magufuli was ill. And the rumors that sparked that he was in hospital, which some people have even been arrested. Obviously, you too, as somebody who is in a country like Tanzania, you will be offended, like, what's going on. So in Tanzania, locals have reacted, obviously, with that. And then one, Joseph Petro, told BBC that he thought Magufuli was a caring leader, adding he was helping people in one way or the other. I'm really pained. I'm personally pained, he said. Another Illuminata Ebo offered similar sentiments. He was not my relative, but was someone that listened to the problems. He was down to earth. So I thought, let me just share with this the news of Magufuli. I like this headline on the other BBC. It says BBC, on BBC News, it says John Magufuli, Tanzania's bulldozer president, has died. So John Pombe Magufuli, his history, he was a son of a peasant farmer who became Tanzania's president in 2015, and he has died at the age of 61. Once praised for his no-nonsense approach, he went to become a controversial leader, especially over his response to coronavirus pandemic. He was elected for the second term in 2020, he had second term, yeah, amid opposition accusations of fraud and intimidation. Before he was president, he acquired the nickname the bulldozer for driving a program to build roads as Minister of Works. Okay, so he was a Minister of Works, and lately held for his anti-corruption stance and his distinct dislike for wasting money. Yeah, Magufuli looked like a simple leader. Sorry, my dogs have been disturbing me. He looked like a simple leader who was not boastful in any way. Um, so Jojo says, Jojo Co 64 says, thank you, Lily, for reporting. Folks, be careful where you get your news from. Too much global poison being spread like peanut butter. Rest in peace, John Magufuli. May your soul rest in peace. Um, Davis Kapunga says it is more than power outages here in Zambia. I don't know how we can explain it. Yeah, sure. So, Magufuli, I mean, I'm very impressed with his history. I can't personally blame him to say, oh, this is the reason why this and this has happened. Everybody is entitled to their own belief. If somebody doesn't believe that coronavirus exists, we can't force them that it exists. The major thing that most people should realize is that everyone needs to take their own responsibility on how they care for themselves, especially during this period of the pandemic. When somebody is unwell, we can't blame the government solely to say, oh, you are to blame because I'm ill. Certain people live a life carelessly. Like in Zambia, I've loved the way there's been so many restrictions about where you can go. And of course, yes, politicians are trying by all means to still go around and be campaigning and taking rations to the poor, because the current state of affairs in Zambia is that Zambians are in poverty, they are suffering, especially during this COVID, and the current government are giving out money, dishing out money in order to show them that they care, but it's because it's an election year. So COVID has come with positives and negatives. On the positive side, African leaders have been exposed when it comes to hospitals. Somebody read a comment on I read a comment on my Facebook when I posted about the death of John Magufuli. For those of you who don't follow me on Facebook, I use Honorable Lilian Mutambo, Munali constituency, or just Lilian Mutambo, you will find me. And the person said, look, at least he died in the Tanzanian hospitals. It shows that the facilities are well equipped. But most African countries can't even boast of having the best facilities in the world, because most African leaders travel abroad. But John Magufuli was in a hospital in Tanzania. So it tells us that the hospital conditions are good. That's why he has decided to be within. So the issue of them saying that he was in Kenya, I'm not so sure about that. But, sorry, I think somebody's trying to call me, so it sometimes does a network. Okay, so as president, he was also accused of cracking down on dissent and curtailing certain freedoms. But following his death, reflections on his time in power will be dominated by the, idiosyncratic handling of COVID-19. So that's what the world will say about him. But the Tanzanian people really appreciate Magufuli as a great leader that fought corruption. Coronavirus is a devil. So when COVID-19 arrived in Tanzania, President John Magufuli did not believe in people staying at home. He wanted them to get into the churches and mosques to pray. Like I said earlier, religion and people's beliefs, we can't force people to believe in what you believe. So if that's what he believed in, that's what he believed in. Coronavirus, which is a devil, cannot survive in any body of Christ. It will burn instantly. Magufuli, a devoted Christian, pronounced from the altar of a church in the capital of Dodoma. Okay. So at one point, Magufuli also had advocated for traditional treatments such as, steam inhalation in the fight against coronavirus. So since June 2020, when he declared the country COVID-19 free, the president, along with other top government officials, mocked the efficacy of wearing masks and, testing as well. There was little testing and no plans that were made for the vaccination program. Like I said, again, it's a choice. But some Tanzanian people feel, did he really care? And again, the question is, do people really have to get the virus? I must say 2020 was one of the toughest years, especially when the COVID started. We couldn't believe what was going on. We were just wondering, what is this? Many people were actually shocked that we had a virus that spread like wildfire across the globe. And that's why there's also belief that, the virus is man-made. How do people just find themselves in a situation where, the whole world is attacked like that? The whole world. I mean, it's really, really strange. Okay, so Bulldozer gets to work. So his results-oriented actions were also framed by, as applicable to other African countries, a dose of what the continent needed to deal with its government issues. On the very first day of his presidency, he sent a stark message that he would not tolerate the country's chronic absenteeism in the civil service. And it's true. Most civil servants, they believe in getting paid. They believe in, becoming ghost workers that work, they work and want to be paid. They don't really work, but they want to be paid for not working. So he was strict about that. Civil service, I think, across Africa is a big issue, where people want to even be absent as a ghost worker and still be paid. So Magufuli had visited the finance ministry offices and asking the whereabouts of those that were not at work. So people would literally not even turn up for work, but expect to be paid at the end of the month. Yeah, true lady, he says, morning Lily, great to see you again. COVID is very serious, sad to hear about his death. Montrose Williams says, the World Economic Forum and its evil agenda in Switzerland. It's shocking. There is an evil agenda going on, because why would people be forced to get vaccines? Why would people be forced to get this and that? And at the end of the day, we're not even guaranteed that people will be okay. So just make sure you're safe, guys, wherever you are. Magufuli also purged thousands of so-called ghost workers, essentially non-existent employees from the public payroll. And that's the problem that we're facing as well in Zambia, where we have cadres who have no education background, who have never been to any school, no college, but they're on payroll because they were promised that as long as you help us campaign and we form government, you will be paid. And they're there, hundreds of them. They're on payroll. Every month they get paid without fail. And then a genuine civil servant, a teacher, a clinical officer, a doctor, a nurse, they are not being paid. Healthcare workers are not being paid for 3-4 months, civil servants. But the ghost workers are being paid. They are on payroll using government funds, taxpayers' money. So essentially non-existent employees, obviously, and from the public payroll, and fired officials considered corrupt and underperforming. So he was very strict on corruption. John Magufuli was very strict on corruption. He never tolerated corruption. And because of that, things started changing in Tanzania. And that's the type of leadership we want. Not a leader comes on a seat and he just inherits whatever is there. Inherits the Chinese, inherits everything, whatever is going on. So it's painful that we have lost a gallant leader like John Magufuli. John Magufuli obviously fired those who were underperforming and corrupt in public. And then sometimes this was even done live on television. Imagine you've gone for a meeting or a press brief, and then John Magufuli just says, Mr. So, you are fired for corruption. I would cry. So, and he also clamped down on what he saw as an extravagant spending, canceling Independence Day celebrations. And Independence Day celebrations, I don't even know what Africans celebrate, because you want to celebrate independence and you have no hospitals. You want to celebrate independence, you have no medication. You want to celebrate independence and workers have not been paid. You want to celebrate independence and people are sleeping on the floor. You want to celebrate independence and there is water leaking through the roofs. I saw a hospital, a Ghanaian hospital, a video where the rain was pouring in a hospital, and after 50 something years we're still celebrating. What are you celebrating independence for? And if you find out how much they spend on these Independence Day events, it's thousands of dollars, and yet people are suffering. So I applaud him for canceling that. So instead he ordered a public cleanup, getting his hands on hands dirty by picking up rubbish outside State House. Okay, so Jojo says, what is more serious is the rollout of the vaccine on the continent. Do you know that the ingredients in it and how it will affect your body if you can't, if you can get information? We'll talk about that on one of the live streams. Jofat says, to believers in Jesus Christ, the death of Tanzania's president is a loss to the world, but a gain to the heavenly realm. So in 2017, a Kenyan professor went so far to call for Magufulification of Africa during an address at the University of Dar es Salaam. But from the onset, it was so clear that there was a darker side to the leadership of the number of initiatives that were slowly away from the country's democratic space. Okay, so in 2016, January 20th, we're just talking about John Magufuli's life. For those of you who are watching us on this Lele Matams TV live stream, I'm here in Zambia in Africa, and I've received this devastating news, and I thought let's talk about it because I loved John Magufuli. I would always share about him, and I would always clap when he does anything positive. So we're just talking about his life, something positive, and just reading what the world has to say. Aman says they killed him because he was anti-vaccines, and also to prove a point to people that, look, coronavirus is real. I don't think he lived a life carelessly. I think he really protected himself. So this is also just trying to send a message like, look, if you don't succumb to what we want you to do, this is what we'll do. The big fish behind the vaccines and the COVID and everything, they know what they're doing, right? So in 2016, January 2016, barely 2 months into his term, he was sworn in 2015 as the president. His administration announced that the state TV would no longer broadcast live parliamentary proceedings officially as a cost-cutting measure. Like everything you read about John Magufuli, he was a leader that was cutting down costs in every angle. I mean, why should we have live parliament TV from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.? What are we watching? Them debating, them on break? He said, look, it's a cost. We need to cut it. You can only just simply give the highlights, and then the world will see the highlights. Or record it on video, but not air it live. Come on, guys, stop fighting. So the opposition saw this as a censorship, as it was among the few ways it could hold the government to account. A planned demonstration against the ban, but the government responded by banning all protests. So he had banned all protests, but I think for me, I'm looking at the aspect of him trying to cut the costs. So another example of such censorship was Magufuli's response to the 2017 song by a popular Tanzanian rapper. Says, this is what the world will do. They don't know how to recognize an African leader on the positive side. They look at the negatives. And this is why I refuse to show, I don't like it when I see how, a foreigner can come to my country and show people the poverty of my country. And yet in their country, they will tell you it is against the rules. You are invading someone's privacy. You cannot show a beggar in the streets. They are vulnerable, But they come to Africa, they show children in orphanages. They show children suffering, rugged, and go and ask for donations worldwide and do concerts, And so now, among all the positive things about Magufuli, they come straight and say, he's this, he's that, he's this. Okay, so he had cancelled the song by Tanzanian rapper Newa Mitego less than a day after its release, Mitego found himself in police custody. He was accused of insulting the president and maligning the government for his song, which included the prescient lyrics. Is there still freedom of expression in this country? The Rapsi voiced artist, whose real name is Emmanuel Elibariki, had rapped. So obviously on that part, I can't really comment much because it would be nice to hear from the Tanzanians how they felt about Magufuli's leadership. But from what we knew, people said he was loved. Okay, so that's what I want to talk about. So, okay, although the president had ordered for the guy to be released, he advised that the song should be reworked to include lyrics about other problems in the society, such as tax cheats. So in 2017, the opposition MP Tundu Lissu, who 3 years later ran against Magufuli for presidency, was shot and seriously injured outside his home. African leadership is crazy, guys. Okay, I totally agree. That's Josias. I totally agree with Magufuli's approach on ghost workers, on payroll and leadership. Elijah says, sad development, peace, rest in peace. Yeah, Josias says, morning, honorables, thanks for the news. Pan-African leadership has lost another of its own. Yeah, absolutely devastating. I would like to hear what Dr. O and other people like our Tanzanian professor, is it our Kenyan professor, will say about this. Yeah, so maybe I'll do another live stream to just read on what people's comments are about this issue. Yeah. So, so the person who was supposed to stand against Magufuli was killed for hate speech and calling Magufuli a dictator. I mean, people are crazy. How can somebody just be in a position for only 2 years and you're already calling him a dictator? Oh, God. The government denied any involvement in the attack. Okay, so in what was seen as by the human rights group as curbing press freedom, the president administration suspended newspapers. Amnesty International also said that the journalists feared being targeted. This is news to me. Okay, so huge tax bill. Magufuli's administration continued to roll out a cocktail of bold and unusual directives, introducing new laws intended to increase the revenue of multinational mining firms. So in 2017, Acacia Mining, a subsidiary of the Canadian parent company Barrick Gold, was slapped with an incredible $190 billion, 145 billion pounds tax bill over royalties the government said it owed, though it denied any wrongdoing. So as part of the settlement, Barrick Gold eventually agreed to pay $300 million after buying out Acacia. I mean, it's shocking how for all these current foreign companies like Barrick Gold, they own, companies as well in Zambia. They own mines in Zambia. They come all the way from Australia and wherever and then come and own mines in our African countries. Why can't we Africans own our own mines? Why should somebody come from wherever? So the 190 billion was worth it to ask for, because you can't be making money on our resources and then take it to your country and make billions of dollars and then don't pay us anything. Jamaican in Zambia says, hi Lily, the Caribbeans and Americans are crying. Definitely, we are all crying. Jimmy Fisher says, yes, the coronavirus is real and deadly, but it is also man-made for depopulation and financial gain. Mike says, Africa has lost a great leader. A fearless president. May his soul rest in peace. President, you will be remembered. Yes, he will be definitely remembered. So as part of the settlement, Tanzania was given $300 million. For Twiga Minerals was formed with the government owning 16% of the joint venture. Barrick and the Tanzanian government also agreed to the sharing of the unspecified future economic benefits from the mines on a 50-50 basis. I agree. Why should a foreign company come and make money on our resources? Then there was a highly contentious scuppering on the attempt to overturn the stipulation that pregnant schoolgirls be expelled, just different issues. And then in 2018, Tanzania passed a law to punish anyone questioning official statistics, making the state sole custodian of data. The World Bank said the changes were deeply worrying. But even his critics agree that Magufuli contributed, this is something very positive, obviously, to the development of Tanzania by investing in several large infrastructure projects, such as the creation of the standard gauge railway, which I said earlier, and major construction bus rapid transit system in the commercial hub of Dar es Salaam. He also increased electricity production, which I read earlier. But then he revived the state-run national airline. So there's a lot of positive things that we can talk about Magufuli. He has made sure that the state has an airline. He has talks to foreign companies, because obviously his predecessor had signed all these contracts with different companies, and he said, look, we need a 50-50 share. There's no way you can come to our country and make 50%. And then he also imposed laws on ghost workers. He would fire people on TV, as we've read. Okay, so Magufuli also would cite founder of the nation, Julius Nyerere, as an influence of his leadership. He styled his governance after Tanzania's first president, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, who was always fiercely independent, and this appeared to inform his approach to coronavirus. Okay, so somebody said our founding father was not someone to be directed or to be told what to do. And then Magufuli also expressed about how poor he was. Magufuli grew up in a poor family, and he says, look, I grew up poor. I know what it means to be poor. And according to the article on the BBC, he grew up poor under Julius Nyerere's rule in a village in northwestern Chato district along the shore of Lake Victoria, and says his modest background has inspired him. His modest background had inspired him to have his own desire to work for the Tanzanian public. And this is what we always have when we have people who've seen suffering. When they, come into leadership, we expect the best of things. And Magufuli has expressed that in the short time he's been president, 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. He has really expressed his passion for Tanzania. So, and then one of the things that Magufuli said about him being poor was, our home was a grass, thatched, and like many boys, I was assigned to head cattle, as well as selling milk and fish to support my family, he said during his 2015 campaign. After school, he worked for a year as a senior maths teacher and chemistry teacher before returning to further education. He worked for a few years as an industrial chemist before resigning in 1995 to run for the parliamentary seat in his own Chato constituency. After taking up the seat, he quickly rose through the ranks to be appointed the Deputy Minister for Public Works. The department's senior minister, Mama Anna Abdallah, says his no-nonsense style, focused on efficiency and results, was quickly evident. In his first year in the job, he succeeded in steamrolling through the building of the long-delayed road. So there was a long delay of building roads, just like Zambia. We are facing that as well. Since I was a baby, there's been that delay of building roads, and now I'm a grown woman with children. I'm still finding there's a delay of building of roads. And I told myself, I'm taking up leadership. I'm going to aspire as a member of parliament. And some people will say, why should you come all the way from the diaspora and aspire? I mean, if you are in the country, you are happy with what's going on. I come to Zambia all the time, and I'm not happy. I will bring in what I feel will bring in change. So it needs to be acceptable that we desire change, and not just accepting whatever is there because this is how you survive. It may be because you have a good job, you have a good contract, so you can't say anything. We are doing whatever we do as leaders for the future generation. So Magufuli has left a legacy. It's a plane flying. We don't even have our own airlines in Zambia. That's Kenya Airways flying. See? Magufuli has left a legacy of, I'm not going to tolerate this. And then there's no way I could be seated in the diaspora and all I do is, oh, Zambia, they are suffering. Oh, Zambia, this. No, I decided to bring myself down to Africa. And I said, look, I want to take up leadership. People are like, it's impossible. Just yesterday, the new Secretary General of our political party, UPND, who was appointed 2 days ago, talked about me, Gelo Wapa Z. When Gelo Wapa Z came, things changed. Monali is now on fire. Everybody is talking about Gelo Wapa Z. And I was humbled. How would somebody, I've never met in my entire life, know that there's Gelo Wapa Z? Because I came here with a force to say, I want to see change in the place that I grew up. How can I be in an area where the schools don't have desks, where there's only one school, instead of having at least 10 schools, where there's only one clinic for a population of 20 to 50,000 people, one clinic. So a person like Magufuli, to me, he's an inspiration because he just didn't sit down in, Chato village and say, look, I'm not bothered about what's happening in Tanzania as long as I have a job. He said, no, I want to take up leadership to bring change, to bring up the roads. It is possible. And he has demonstrated, and that's his legacy. He has demonstrated that if you want to bring change, at least the roads that are there now in Chato constituency, people can say, if not for Magufuli, these roads would have never been there. If not for Magufuli, we wouldn't have had this bus service. If not for Magufuli, we wouldn't have had this railway service. So he's left a powerful legacy, which we will all remember as supporters of John Magufuli. And, so in 2015, obviously, he wanted to run for presidency, and he said he had considered himself as a candidate. By then, he was only 54 years old. The elections were very tight in the country's history, but Magufuli pulled with 58% of the vote. He won his second term with 84% of the vote, but the main opposition parties denounced that the results were fraudulent. Obviously, when you lose, people always say that, especially when, you have opposition that don't work and then they expect to win. An opposition leadership should always be fighting for the best for their country. And I think he deserved the second term. If he had started in the first 5 years, let him finish for the next 5 years. Okay, Terry Boyd says, you are going to be a great asset to your country and the future of Africa. Thank you so much. Sharon Majuta says, rest in peace, Bulldozer. You ran a good race. Definitely, he did. He definitely ran a good race. So as a president, he often styled himself as an African nationalist and devoted Catholic, waging war against foreign powers seeking to exploit the East African nation. And that's what we said in the beginning. To say many people would not love this man because he did not accept to be exploited. He was a no-nonsense guy. So because of that, he was perturbed as such by, censure. And this may have stirred up the attitude towards dealing with the pandemic and the attitude with will forever color the, So it's a shock to everybody that he has died. And I thought, let's just talk about President John Magufuli. Absolutely devastated about the loss of John Magufuli. He was a great leader, a devoted leader of Tanzania. And to me, he inspired me. And for you that is always talking about Africa or where you come from, Jamaica, America, what legacy are you going to leave on this earth? Magufuli fought for the people of Tanzania. He tried his best. He may not be perfect, but he tried his best. Same as me. I'm here in Zambia, aspiring for leadership and pushing for change. So thank you so much, everybody. I just wanted to do this live stream for an hour. Thank you so much. Aman says, I feel Tanzania and the church failed Magufuli because they failed to pray for him. It is well. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Take care, everybody. See you on my next live stream as we talk about the issues that are happening around Africa and Zambia. Take care. Mike says the people of Munali are blessed. Indeed, they are blessed. The driver is here to pick me up for me to go. He's already playing music. He's such a loud music player. Take care, everyone. See you. And this is my greatest condolences as well to the people of Tanzania. May you be comforted during this difficult time. May the family of John Magufuli be comforted during this difficult time. John Magufuli, 61, has died. Thank you so much. Take care.